Hello everyone and welcome to our past week session on RefWorks.
This is an online version of a session we would usually run face-to-face in a computer room. So to try to recreate this, we will stop presenting at times and give you a few minutes to try out what we've just shown you. As you all know, the best way to learn how to use something is by actually using it. So, okay, let's begin. Okay, so in this session, we will cover how to set up a RefWorks account, how to add and edit references, how to share folders and create bibliographies, how RefWorks can be used with your word processor, and a quick look at some of its advantages and limitations. The icons on the right show more of the functionality of the software. Okay, so we're going to create an account. Okay, so I'm going to quickly demonstrate how to create a RefWorks account. You can access RefWorks through library search. So from the main page, if we just do / here. Okay, make sure you're logged in first, and the top right hand corner, sign in here. Just going to put in my username and password if it. Oh, okay, it's already signed me in automatically. But do put in your username, the W first 7 digits, along with your password to log into library search. And then if we type in here RefWorks, we are going to scroll down to the second result on the library search page. So if we click on this, and then I've got a little tab here, link to e-resources. My page looks different. It's already signed me in. So I'm just going to log out and show you how it's going to look. Okay, so you'll get a page like this, and then you select the next screen will ask you your name and to select what category of user you are. So if you just select student and then click save, and your account will be created. So okay, so adding references from library search. Once you've created your account, the first thing to do is import some references into it. We always recommend starting your searches using library search. So now I'll do a demo showing you how to add references from there. So we're going to go back into library search. Again, like I said, make sure you sign in the top right hand corner. Okay, that's already took me in. Then type in your search term through this on the search tab here. So I'm going to type in artificial intelligence. Okay, and there's loads of different ways to do it. So the first one, what we can do is if we click on this item, whether it's online or a book, it doesn't matter. If we click on it, and then I have a send to button here on the left. If I click on that, it'll prompt me to send it to any of these links, and we want to send it to RefWorks, so I'll click on this. So you can see here we have one result saved in the document. Okay, another way to then do it is you can select multiple references that you'd like to add. So I've done 3 here, and then if I go to the top here and select RefWorks, there we go. You have 3 documents in your library. Also, another way I'll show you what you can do is you can go to My Favorites. So I have a few things saved here in My Favorites. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Push to action at the top here. Go to RefWorks, and that should give me all 4 results in there. Yep, there we go. So if I press OK, I have all the references saved in here now. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so hopefully you've all had a chance to add in some references from Library Search. I'm now going to do a demo on some other ways to add references into RefWorks. Firstly, I'm going to start with Google Scholar. Right, so when I'm in Google Scholar, the first thing I like to do is make sure I'm logged in the top right up here. Now I'm going to go to the settings, and at the bottom I'm going to select Show Links to Import Citations into RefWorks. I'm going to save that. I'm also going to go back to the settings and select Library Links. And then I'm going to type in Westminster, search for it, select University of Westminster, and save. This will now mean that a link to the full text will appear in my search results for all items which we have a subscription to. And by the way, if you do like to use Google Scholar for your searching, we have a libguide for that as well, so you should take a look at it. Okay, so I'm now going to run a search. You can see here the Find Online at Westminster links. And I now have this Import into RefWorks button beneath each result. So if I click that, it's quite slow, but it happened. It's asked me which folder I would, because I have different folders in my RefWorks. It's asked me which folder I'd like to put it into. I'm just not going to choose a folder. I'm just going to import it. So most databases have this function, so you can directly export references into RefWorks. Okay, so now I'm in RefWorks. You can also add references directly from RefWorks, of course. So you see here on the side, search databases. It's been quite slow this morning. So if we click that, we're able to search the catalogues of many different databases, including University of Westminster and British Library. So say, for example, that you have an interlibrary loan book that you got from the British Library. You can search for it and then select it from the search results. So I'm going to scroll down, and this is what I want. So I'm going to select it. Now I can check the metadata here. If anything looks like I want to change it, I can click the pencil button and I can edit the entry here. By the way, if you click this Find It at Westminster, that will take you through to library, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we hold that item. So this will probably come up with the interlibrary loan form because we don't actually have this book in our catalogue. There you go. So then if we're happy, with what we found here, we can just click import. And there you go, it will import the reference for you. And another way to add references is to manually upload a PDF, for example. So if you have a journal article PDF that you've got saved on your device. So if you click the Add button, and we can click Upload Document. I've got a PDF here on my desktop, so I'm going to upload that. It can be a little bit slow, but there we go. You can see it's preparing the documents. Done there, it's attempted to read from the PDF, the bibliographic data, and it's done quite a good job there. So we can click it. And then we can see, and if we need to edit anything, that it's filled out most of the data for us. We click there, now we can go through and view the attachment. And RefWorks is good because you can upload attachments to a lot of your references, and then you can highlight them, different parts of the text here. If you click this button, it lets you highlight the text, although it's a little bit misaligned. But you can also then add comments to those bits of the text if you like, by clicking this button. And then if you just want to add some general notes to that reference, you can do so here, and it will save automatically when you click the X. Okay, let's go back. And then, of course, you can manually enter references as well. So if you click Add and then Create New Reference, you'll be able to select whatever type of reference it is. Say it's a book. And this part is quite useful. If you type in the title or part of the title, you can click this lightning bolt here, and it will attempt to suggest for you some results. So I found that that's actually the book that I want, so I'm going to click that, and it's filled out some of the fields for me. And if I need to add any more fields, like whenever the date I retrieved it, for example, I can just do that manually. If you make any mistakes, just click Undo, and then when you're happy with that, you can click Save. Okay, and the last way to add a reference is to use the browser extension button. So if you go to Tools and then click Tools, you'll see this Install Save to RefWorks button. So if you click that, you can then drag, I've already got it here, you can drag this button into your bookmarks bar. Okay, and then when you're on a web page, or whatever you're on, say for example this page, if I wanted to save it, I just click the Save to RefWorks button. And then it's going to attempt to scrape some bibliographic data and fill it out for me. So it's identified that it's a web page, it's got the title, it hasn't filled out the author, so I'm going to put that in. And then I can just click Save to RefWorks. There we go. That's worked quite nicely. I've found that this can work better on some sites than others. So you may, it can be a quick way to enter things to RefWorks, but you may need to fill out some of the fields yourself more than I had to do so there. Okay, so that's how to add and import references into RefWorks. But once you're in RefWorks, you're going to want to organize all of your references. So you can see at the top here, this is where you can have different projects. I've just got one project at the moment. If you go to manage projects, you can create more. So you might have a project for your dissertation or a project for each different module you're doing. Go back. But within projects, you can also organize your references into folders. So within your dissertation folder, for example, you might want to add a folder which is your introduction. You just click save. I've already done that, so I'm going to make another one. Any references that you add, they'll automatically go into this folder called not in folder. But if you want to assign references, you just highlight them, click assign to folder, and apply, and then they'll go into that. And another handy way of managing your references is to tag them. So you can see here I've already got lots of tags because the tags are imported with the reference according to whatever tags are applied to them in the database. But then I can also add my own. So say, for example, I want to add a tag to this one. I'm going to make this part of my chapter 3. So just do that and save. And you can search your tags here. But you can also search up here. That's quite useful. And the last thing I want to show you in this section is how to share references. So say, for example, you're working on a group project. You can share a whole project from up here, or you can just share a particular folder. You can share it with public, or you can share it with other people from your institution, and you can specify what sort of editing rights you want them to have, and then just click done. So it works very well for collaborating. The last thing we'd like to show you is the most important thing and the reason you'll be using RefWorks in the first place, and that is for creating your bibliographies. So I'll just share my screen with you. So you can all see this Create Bibliography button here at the top. If you click on it and click Create Bibliography, you'll be taken to this screen. You'll be able to select which citation style you'd like from the top, and RefWorks supports a huge number of styles, including institutional styles like Westminster Harvard. Although it's very important to bear in mind that the references will only be created properly if the metadata in the entry itself was correctly imported or edited. So a lot of times it won't have been imported perfectly, so you might need to go in and make some manual edits yourself. So as we can see here, I'm using Westminster Harvard All Authors. For some of them, it has correctly, for an online resource, said it's available from and the URL, although there's no retrieval date, and that's because I haven't input one. And the one above, it says here available from, and there's nothing. It's only going to take the URL from the URL field. So if you have an electronic resource and it's got a DOI, you need to copy and paste that into the URL field, and then it will fill it out. If there's an access date, you can see that it's put it in there, but it hasn't put the spacing correctly. So you may need to make tweaks like that. So this is good. You can manually check at this stage how your references are looking, and then if you need to go back and make edits, you can do that. But when you're happy with it, you can copy to clipboard, and then it's ready to paste into your word processor. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, but RefWorks also works with your word processor. Say you're using Microsoft Word or Google Docs, so you can use it that way. What you need to do is go to the tools once it's loaded. Go to tools again. Then at the bottom, I'll see the plugins that you'll need to install depending on what word processor you're using. So there's Microsoft Word, download and install, Google Docs, add-on. So I've already installed this, so I'm going to go right to Google Docs. This is my test document. I go to add-ons, Progress RefWorks, manage citations. And in Word, it works very much the same way. You'll get this bar at the side, and you can select here which folder you want to be working in. Bear in mind, it only works within one project. So if you've got two different projects set up in RefWorks, in one document, you'll only be able to insert citations from within one project. But you can select different folders, or you can just select all of them. And then using this settings bar, you can select your citation style. So for example, I've selected that one for now. So then I'm going to write some text, and then I'm going to decide which references do I want that are going to support what I've written. You can search. Okay, I want this one. I'm going to cite this one. Once you press that, it'll insert the in-text citation, and it'll also put it into your reference for you. If you decide you need to edit the citation because, for example, you've already used the author's name in what you've written, you can press suppress author and just insert the citation that way. And if you need to build a multiple citation, you just click them one after the other, and it should combine them like that. If you decide later on, oh, actually, I don't need that reference, that was wrong, you can delete it, go to the top, update document, and it should remove it. This is a very important way of checking that you're only putting references for what you've actually cited in the text, and the same way round. If you cited it in the text, it will definitely be in your references list. There's no way of it being forgotten. Okay, so that's pretty much everything we wanted to show you today. There are, of course, more features to RefWorks, but for an introduction, we felt like these are the most important things. So to wrap up, we just want to take a brief look at some of the advantages and limitations of RefWorks as a reference management software. So in terms of pros, it is fairly easy to learn, and there are lots of online training videos and guides to help you. There's also good support available both from us at the library and from ProQuest, the makers of RefWorks. Most databases offer direct export to RefWorks, as we saw, so adding references is very straightforward. And also, as we've seen, it's very good for collaborating. You can share folders easily. And you can use it on any device, as it's browser-based, and everything's stored in the cloud. So you don't need to install anything on your desktop. But, however, like most things, there are some limitations. So as we saw, references may need editing as they won't have been imported perfectly. So please don't think that the software is going to do everything for you. You'll still need to check it, and you'll still need to understand the components that you need to enter in for building a reference. However, this is the case for any reference management software, not just RefWorks. One of the downsides of it being browser-based is that there's very limited functionality if you need to work offline, if you don't have internet access, if you're on an aeroplane, for example. So bear that in mind. if that's something that's important to you. And it's also not possible to search within attachments. You saw that we could highlight and annotate, but you can't actually search the text of the PDFs. If that's something that would be important to you, you should consider using Mendeley, because that does offer that functionality. RefWorks also isn't compatible with LibreOffice or OpenOffice. And lastly, as it is proprietary and it requires a subscription, which we as a library maintain, you need to convert your account to an alumni account before you leave the university if you want to maintain access to your references after you've graduated. And this is also dependent upon the library actually maintaining a subscription, which we can't guarantee in the long term. So if you need any further guidance, hopefully this session has provided a good foundation for you to feel confident using RefWorks. But for future, there are links to various RefWorks training videos in our referencing LibGuide. There's a RefWorks tab on there. You can also always contact your subject librarian with any questions. And if you're not sure who that is, you can find their name and contact details using this link here. And all of the subject librarians are offering online one-to-ones now at the moment, and you can book those online via Engage. Also, ProQuest are running a webinar tomorrow evening, 6 PM British Summer Time, which will probably cover a lot of what we've covered here today, but it can be useful to watch things twice. So if you see the yellow banner at the top of RefWorks that says important message, if you click there, you'll be able to see a link to where you can register for that webinar. It'll also be recorded as well, so even if you can't make it at that time, you can view it later. And as I said at the beginning, this session is being recorded as well, so we'll upload that online and send out the link. So that's everything that we wanted to cover today. Okay, so looking at Gustavo's question, does RefWorks give you the accurate Westminster reference and in-text reference, in-text citation? As you saw, it does have the institutional style, but it will only be accurate if everything's been filled in the correct fields. And in terms of giving the URL, it is taking that from the URL field and not the DOI field, so you need to make sure that you filled that in properly. So that may require copying it from the DOI field into the URL field, and also you'll need, and a lot of times you'll need to add in the date that you retrieved it as well. Okay, so looking at Bean's question, citing things on the web. So if you're on a website and you press the Save to RefWorks button, and it's going to have a guess at what sort of web page it is, I think that's the best way probably for you to edit then and write in exactly what sort of content it is. You can select newspaper article, magazine article, and video. Those are reference types. So then when you select that, it will give you the fields that you'll need to fill in. And I'm not sure how well it works on YouTube, how much it pre-fills for you, or if some of it you'll need to manually put in, but at least it does tell you what fields you're required to enter.